What's going on, guys? Another quick video for you here. Once again, we're back on our domain controller that we created in the previous video. We've got a couple of Windows PCs or virtual machines joined to the domain. We have a couple of users created, and we've created a security group with those users in it. This morning we'll take a look at group policy. We'll create our first group policy, and we'll just do something kind of fun with it. We'll go ahead and force a specific wallpaper depending on the security group membership of that user that logs into the domain PC. So first thing we're going to want to do for this particular one is create a share on the domain controller where we can deploy that wallpaper from. So let's jump over to the C drive, create a new folder. We'll just call this GP share. You can name it whatever you'd like. Go to the properties, sharing, advanced sharing, share this folder, permissions, everyone has read, that's fine. We'll only allow read level security permissions as well. So let's go ahead and edit that. Let's add domain users. If you want to restrict it to a specific group, that's fine as well. I'll keep it at domain users level, give them read and execute. Now that that share exists, we should be able to test the access here, which I did earlier, but let's do that again now. So we'll whack DC01 GP share, and we were able to get to the folder. So whatever we want to deploy, if it's a file or something like that, this is one way to do it. Create a share on, it doesn't have to be the domain controller, you could do it on another file server as long as it's on the domain and you're able to authenticate to that share with domain credentials. You can pretty much put it anywhere you want. Just make sure you keep the permissions in line, right? Don't give them modify or delete or anything like that, or full ownership of that folder. That could cause someone to upload a file, change a file, delete a file, things that you wouldn't necessarily want users to be able to do. This is normally read only, read execute. That way you can get the files to the user's computer. Nothing more than that should be needed. So I downloaded a wallpaper here. Let's go ahead and copy the Jedi wallpaper over to that share that we created. Alright, so now that we have that in place, let's go ahead and take a look at creating a group policy. So let's open group policy management on the domain controller. To create a new group policy, you'll just right click wherever you want to start it at. We can start ours here at Unicorn. You can put it all the way at the top, that's fine. And once you link it, you can have another link to it at another level. We'll keep our simple, start it right here at the Unicorn. Create a GP on this domain and link it here. Now there's two types of group policies for the most part. There are others where they use loopback, but to keep it simple, you have a user-based policy and a computer-based policy. And that just says, do I want to apply this depending on the user that logs in, or do I want to apply this depending on the computer that it's impacting? So we'll do ours at the user level. As a naming convention, it's nice to start your users with you, your user policies with you, and your computer policies with C, because once you get 20, 30, 40, 100 of these in your domain, you're going to want to be able to sort and kind of know what things are, right? So I tend to start mine with U dash, and we'll just call this Rebel Wallpaper. And here's your policy. By default, this is going to be, the security filter says, who do I apply this to? It's applied to every object that it touches in these OUs. So the way the group policy works is, by default, at the OU where you apply it, it will by default go down and apply to all the child OUs as well. So it'll literally apply to any objects in these unless you specifically filter it here or you block it at one of these. So what we'll do is we'll just say, first we'll add, and we'll say the security group we created, the Rebel Alliance, which was, I think, Luke and Han Solo. Must not have put a space. There we go. Rebel Alliance group. And now we can get rid of this one. Okay. Need that delegation. So you will want to have, if you take off that authenticated users, You will want to add it here and just put read only. That allows the computer object to be able to read the group policy so that the user can pass it, or it can be applied at the user level. So if you take that out, the group policy won't apply. You'll need to add read only permission for the computers here, which can be done through authenticated users. So you'll notice this doesn't have read and apply, it's just read again, so the computer level object can read that group policy, and which allows the authenticated user to read and apply the policy. Okay, so now that we have our security filtering in place, let's go ahead and modify the actual policy itself. So this is where you're going to tell the policy what it should do, right? So we'll go ahead and configure. You can do a ton of stuff here as well, guys. So we'll go ahead and configure the wallpaper policy. Again, user configuration or computer configuration. We're going to go to the user configuration, and we're going to take a look at policies, administrative templates. We'll go down to desktop, and then we will do, let's see, desktop wallpaper, and we'll enable this, and then we will tell it where the wallpaper is. So I believe ours was DC01 GP share, and then I think I named it rebel wallpaper.jpg, but let's confirm that. Nope, Jedi wallpaper, that would not have worked. Okay. Jedi wallpaper.jpg, that looks good to me. Okay, so let's go ahead and fill it. That way it'll stretch it all the way out. And that should be all we need here, guys. Let's give that a shot. Apply. And then we'll log off one of our users and log them back in, and we'll see if this takes effect. So we can either log out from the start menu, or we can just do a shutdown -L for log off. Get that guy logged off, and then we'll log him back in. Wait for that to finish. There we are, guys. We have our wallpaper pushed out through group policy via the domain controller. We can make sure the same thing works here for Han Solo, since he's also a member of the Rebel Alliance group, which is what we created. So if you were to log in with a user that's not a member of that group, you wouldn't get that wallpaper. So if you want to set up like a Evil Empire wallpaper and create, you know, maybe Anakin or Darth Vader, and when they log in they get an evil looking wallpaper, right? Just an example of ways to apply different things depending on who logs into a computer. So let's make sure that Han also gets the same thing here. This is obviously for demonstration purposes, right? I mean, there's not a whole lot of value to, well, I guess there could be, but not a whole lot of value to pushing a specific wallpaper to a specific user. But in theory, you can see where this apply, right? You can give access to different folders. Maybe people can see things that other people can't, depending on what groups they're in or how you set the policy up. So it's just an example of how this all works, guys. So there we are. Han Solo logged in, and he did also get the Jedi wallpaper. So that's a brief demonstration of creating a group policy, configuring the security filtering to only apply to specific users and or groups, how to link that group policy to an OU, and then we also looked at how to create a simple group policy share and set that up with the correct read-only permissions. We also looked at how to ensure the computer can read that group policy when we remove the default all authenticated users from the initial security filter. We had to add the read-only permissions at the on the back end of that policy. And then we tested it out by logging off and logging back on to a domain joined computer, and we did successfully see that the wallpaper was pushed out. So again, guys, a quick demonstration on group policy. Hope this was helpful. Thanks for staying tuned to the end here. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Trying to grow this channel, so I definitely appreciate it. Hit that thumbs up. please leave me a comment in the description or in the comment section. I'd be glad to hear what you guys think, and if you have any videos that you'd like to see me create or any questions. Looking forward to interacting with the community a little more. So yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Until the next one, take care.